The blade stopped 3 millimeters from Princess Kira's throat. Commander Jake Brennan held the assassin's wrist in a grip that made bone creak. The Vel-3 warrior outweighed him by 40 kilos of armored muscle, but Jake had momentum and earth gravity in his blood. He twisted hard. The knife clattered across marble. "Get down," Jake said. Kira didn't move. She stood frozen in her silk gown, eyes wide behind the dark curtain of her hair. The royal banquet continued below, oblivious. Up here on the garden terrace, the moons cast everything in silver. The Vel-3 snarled and threw an elbow. Jake ducked under it, drove his knee into the alien's gut, felt chitin crack beneath the ceremonial armor. The assassin stumbled back toward the railing. "I said get down!" Jake grabbed Kira's arm and pulled her behind a statue just as pulse fire lit up the night. 2 more Vel-3 appeared from the shadows, weapons raised. The princess made a small sound. Not quite a gasp, not quite fear. Jake returned fire with his sidearm, the report sharp and primitive compared to their energy weapons. 1 shot, center mass. The lead Vel-3 dropped. Human kinetics still worked just fine. "How many?" Kira whispered. "Enough." Jake ejected the spent magazine, slammed in a fresh one. "We need to move." The stairs, compromised. I counted 4 positions on approach. He glanced at her. She wasn't panicking. Good. "Can you climb?" She looked at him like he'd asked if she could breathe. Yes. Jake grabbed the ornamental trellis and tested it. The ironwork held. He fired 3 more rounds to keep the remaining Vel-3 suppressed, then holstered his weapon. "Go. Now." Kira gathered her gown and started climbing. She moved like water, silent and sure. Jake followed, covering their ascent. Pulse bolts scorched the stone where his head had been seconds before. They reached the upper balcony. Jake hauled himself over the railing and immediately swept the corridor, clear. "Why?" Kira asked. She wasn't even breathing hard. Why would they? Politics later. Survival now. Jake activated his comm. Brennan to palace security. Assassination attempt on Princess Kira. Terrace garden. Multiple hostiles were moving to the east wing. "They jammed it," Kira said quietly. "This was planned." Jake met her eyes. In the dim light, he saw something he hadn't noticed during his 3 months as her security detail. Sharp and calculating. "You knew this would happen." "I suspected." She straightened. "They think I'm harmless, decorative. The shy princess who never speaks at council. Are you?" Kira smiled. "It wasn't shy at all." "No, Commander Brennan, I'm not." Footsteps echoed from both ends of the corridor. "Then prove it," Jake said. "Because we're out of exits." She reached into her gown and produced a small plasma torch, the kind used for cutting titanium. "This way." Kira pointed at the wall. "The old servants' passages. My ancestors built them into every wing." Jake grinned despite everything. "Lead on, Your Highness." She burned through the wall in 40 seconds flat. They crawled through darkness that smelled of dust and forgotten centuries. Jake's shoulder scraped ancient stone. His tactical light cut a narrow beam through the passage. Ahead, Kira moved with absolute certainty, one hand trailing along the wall like she'd memorized every curve. "How often do you use these?" Jake asked. "Often enough." Her voice echoed softly. "Being overlooked has advantages." The passage opened into a junction. Kira turned left without hesitation. Jake heard sounds behind them now. Scraping. Voices speaking in clipped Vel-3 dialect. "They're in the walls," he said. "They won't know which path. There are 17 branches in this section alone." Kira paused at an intersection, pressed her palm against a specific stone. A panel slid open, revealing a narrow stairwell. Down. Jake followed her into the spiral descent. "Where does this lead?" "The archives. No one goes there except historians." She glanced back. "And me. You read. I do many things people don't notice." The stairs ended at a heavy wooden door. Kira produced a key from somewhere in her gown. "My brothers think I spend my days embroidering. My father thinks I'm too timid for governance." The door opened into a vast chamber lined with crystalline data storage. Ancient texts filled shelves that reached toward a vaulted ceiling. Emergency lighting gave everything a blue glow. Jake scanned the room. 3 exits. Good sightlines. Defensible if needed. The Vel-3 wants you dead because you're not what you seem, he said. Kira moved to a central terminal and began accessing files. Her fingers flew across holographic keys. They want me dead because I discovered what they're really doing in the outer territories. The mining operations aren't just for resources. What are they for? Weapons. Planet killers. She pulled up schematics. Jake recognized Vel-3 military encryption. They've been building a fleet for 3 years. My father signed the territory agreements without reading the subsections. He trusts them. Jake studied the data. Dreadnought-class vessels. Pooh. Orbital bombardment platforms. Enough firepower to reduce a planet to ash. They're preparing for war, he said, against the human colonies. Your people discovered something in the Kepler expanse. Something the Vel-3 want. Kira downloaded the files to a data crystal. I've been gathering evidence for 6 months. Tonight was supposed to be my announcement at the council. They found out, obviously. She pocketed the crystal, but they made a mistake. What's that? They sent assassins instead of diplomats. Kira's expression hardened. Now I know I'm right. An explosion rocked the archives. Dust cascaded from the ceiling. Jake grabbed Kira and pulled her behind a shelf as the main door blew inward. Vel-3 shock troops poured through, weapons raised. Contact, Jake said. He fired twice, dropped the first soldier through the door. How many exits? 2 more, northwest corner and... Pulse fire cut her off. The shelf exploded above their heads. Jake returned fire, keeping them suppressed. His magazine ran dry. Last one. We can't fight through that, Kira said. Don't plan to. Jake grabbed a fallen pulse rifle. The weapon was designed for Vel-3 physiology, but he'd trained on captured models. He checked the charge. Half full. Can you seal the doors remotely? Yes, but... Do it. All of them. Kira accessed the terminal, her hands shaking now. We'll be trapped. That's the idea. Jake positioned himself behind a stone pillar. How structurally sound is this room? Her eyes widened. You can't be serious. Those power conduits above us. What do they feed? The palace's main fusion core. But if you rupture them, we'll have about 90 seconds before catastrophic failure. Jake aimed at the ceiling. Get to the northwest exit. When I fire, you run and don't look back. Commander... Your Highness. He met her gaze. Those files prove the Vel-3 are planning genocide against my people. You're the only one who can stop it. So you're going to run, and you're going to survive, and you're going to make them pay for underestimating you. The Vel-3 were advancing, using the shelves for cover. Kira sealed the other doors. The emergency lighting turned red. There's a transport hub 4 levels down, she said quickly. Take Corridor 7. Access code 993 Alpha. Ships are always fueled. Good. Jake. She used his first name for the first time. Thank you. Go. She ran. Jake opened fire on the conduits. Sparks erupted. Alarms screamed. The Vel-3 realized too late what he'd done. He sprinted after Kira, feeling the building shake. The fusion core was destabilizing. Behind him, the Vel-3 scrambled to retreat, but the sealed doors held. Jake caught up to Kira at the corridor entrance. They ran together through failing emergency lights. The palace groaned around them. Faster, Jake said. They reached the transport level as the first core breach occurred 3 floors above. The shockwave threw them both forward. Jake rolled, came up firing as Vel-3 guards appeared. Kira made it to a sleek diplomatic shuttle. The engines were already warming. Jake covered their boarding, then sealed the hatch. Fly, he ordered. Kira took the pilot's seat like she'd been born to it. The shuttle lifted as the palace began to collapse. They punched through the hangar doors doing 300 kilometers per hour. Behind them, the royal palace of Velthros burned. The shuttle breached atmosphere doing speeds that made the hulls scream. Jake monitored pursuit on the tactical display. 6 Vel-3 interceptors had launched from the military garrison. They were faster, better armed, and closing the gap. Can this thing jump? He asked. Not until we clear the gravity well. Kira's hands moved across the controls with precision. 3 minutes. We don't have 3 minutes. Jake strapped into the weapons station. The shuttle had defensive turrets, but nothing meant for dogfighting. Evasive pattern delta. Now. Kira banked hard left. Pulse fire streaked past the viewport. She rolled the shuttle inverted and dove, using a communications satellite as cover. The move bought them 15 seconds. They're hurting us, Jake said. Away from the jump coordinates. I know. Kira pulled up sharply, the G-forces crushing them into their seats. There's a debris field at heading 270, old battlefield from the Succession Wars. How old? 80 years. Jake calculated vectors. Tight flying. I'm aware. She adjusted course. But their interceptors are too fast for precision maneuvering. You've done this before. I've studied every engagement in Vel-3 history. Kira pushed the throttle forward. My tutors thought I was researching genealogy. The debris field appeared on scopes. Thousands of wrecked ships, dead satellites, and shattered stations drifting in a chaotic maze. Kira didn't slow down. She accelerated. Hold on, she said. They hit the field at full burn. Kira threaded the shuttle between a destroyer's broken hull and a spinning cargo container. Jake watched the gap close to meters, then centimeters. Metal screamed against their shields. Behind them, 2 interceptors tried to follow. One clipped a debris chunk and spun out, its stabilizers failing. The pilot ejected. The second adjusted course but lost ground. 4 left, Jake said. He fired the aft turret, more to harass than damage. Still closing. Kira found a gap between 2 massive capital shipwrecks and accelerated through it. The passage was barely wide enough. Their shields sparked against rusted metal on both sides. Gravity well weakening, she reported. 90 seconds to jump capability. An explosion lit up the debris behind them. One of the interceptors had miscalculated. 3 remaining. They're getting smarter, Jake said. Hanging back, waiting for us to clear the field, then we don't clear it. Kira spotted something on her scans. There, the Monarch's glory. Dreadnought class. Scuttled during the Civil War. Jake saw it. A massive warship. Its spine broken, but its hull intact. What about it? It still has functional fusion cores. Never fully decommissioned. She changed course toward the derelict. If we can trigger a reactor breach, they'll have to choose between pursuit and survival. Jake grinned. I like how you think, Your Highness. Stop calling me that. We're past formality. She brought the shuttle alongside the Dreadnought's reactor housing. Can you access their systems? Jake was already working. He patched into the derelict's emergency network, bypassed 80 years of security rot, and found the reactor controls. Got it. Initiating overload sequence. How long? 30 seconds once I confirm. The interceptors emerged from the debris field, weapons hot. Pulse fire hammered their shields. Kira rotated the shuttle, giving Jake a firing solution. He took it, scoring a hit on the lead interceptor's engine. It fell back, trailing plasma. 2 ships, Kira said. 20 seconds to jump. Confirmed overload, Jake announced. Core breach in 10, 9, 8. The Vel-3 pilots realized what was happening. They broke off, engines flaring as they tried to gain distance. Too late. The Dreadnought's fusion core went critical. The explosion vaporized half the debris field and created an expanding sphere of superheated plasma. Kira had already punched the jump engines. Reality folded around them as they entered hyperspace. The shuttle shuddered. Warning lights blazed across every panel. Jump successful, Kira said. She collapsed back in her seat. Destination randomized. They can't track us. Jake ran diagnostics. Shields at 18%. Hull integrity compromised in sections 4 and 7. Life support stable. Where are we headed? Coordinates show the Arcturus sector. He checked the navigation computer. There's a human research station, deep space installation called Terminus Point. Kira nodded. Your people need to see this evidence. They need to know what's coming. The Vel-3 won't stop hunting you. I know. She stood, steadier now. But I'm not the shy princess anymore. That person died when they sent assassins. Jake studied her. Blood streaked her torn gown. Dust covered her face, but her eyes held something new. Purpose. What will you do? He asked. After we deliver the intel, I'm going to build an alliance. Human and Vel-3 opposition forces. There are others who see what the War Council is doing. She pulled out the data crystal. This proves their corruption. It proves they violated every treaty. Some of my people will listen. That's optimistic. That's necessary. Kira moved to the shuttle's communication array. I need to send a message. Encrypted. To someone I trust in the Vel-3 diplomatic corps. You sure they won't sell you out? Ambassador Lena Cord. She's human. Married to a Vel-3 reformist. Kira began composing the message. If anyone can help us build a coalition, it's her. Jake watched the stars streak past in hyperspace. We just started a war. No. Kira sent the message. We just gave the right people a chance to prevent one. The console beeped. Incoming transmission. Jake frowned. That's impossible. We're in hyperspace. Nothing can do. It's from Terminus Point, Kira said. She opened the channel. Static filled the cabin. Then a voice. Male. Human. Urgent. Any vessel receiving this transmission respond immediately. Terminus Point is under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. Unknown hostiles. Requesting immediate. The transmission cut off. Jake and Kira locked eyes. How long to Arcturus? She asked. 4 hours at current speed. Can we go faster? Jake pushed the damaged engines. We can try. The shuttle dropped out of hyperspace to a vision of hell. Terminus Point burned against the stars. 3 human frigates hung dead in space, their hulls torn open, debris spiraled outward in expanding clouds, and circling the station like predators were ships Jake had never seen before. Not Vel-3, something else. What are those? Kira whispered. Jake magnified the image. The vessels were organic, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns, weapons that looked grown rather than built. I don't know. A distress beacon pulsed weakly from the station's command module. Jake opened the channel. Terminus Point. This is Commander Jake Brennan. What's your situation? Silence. Then crackling. A woman's voice strained. Brennan? Thank God. This is Director Natalie Cross. We're venting atmosphere on levels 3 through 9. Life support critical. Hostiles breached the science wing 20 minutes ago. How many survivors? 43. Maybe less now. They're hunting us. Fear bled through her words. These things, they're not like anything we've encountered. They adapt. Learn. We hit one with plasma fire and the next one had shielding. Kira was already scanning. I'm detecting human life signs, concentrated in the operations center. But there are other signatures, biological, moving through the corridors. Can we extract the survivors? Jake asked. Not without drawing those ships. Kira indicated the alien vessels. They're in a perimeter formation. Anything approaching gets swarmed. Jake studied the tactical situation. 7 hostile ships, unknown capabilities, 1 damaged shuttle against impossible odds. Standard thinking said run, get the intel to safety, let Terminus Point die. Jake had never been good at standard thinking. Director Cross, we're coming in. Rally your people to the operations center. Seal every door between you and those things. Commander, you don't understand. These creatures, they cut through reinforced steel like paper. I understand you have 43 people who want to live. Jake began plotting an approach vector. So let's make that happen. Kira was staring at him. That's suicide, she said. Probably. The intel we're carrying could prevent a war, save billions of lives. I know. And you're willing to risk it for 43 people. Jake met her gaze. Your people overlooked you because you seemed weak. But you're not. You're brilliant and brave, and you survived an assassination attempt through pure determination. He checked his weapons. My people don't leave anyone behind. That's not weakness. That's who we are. Kira was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. Then let's go get them. She piloted the shuttle on a hard burn toward the station. The alien ships detected them immediately. 3 broke formation, accelerating on an intercept course. Hostile contact, Jake said. 15 seconds. The aliens opened fire. Projectiles that moved like living things, tracking and adjusting mid-flight. Kira rolled the shuttle, barely avoiding the barrage. One hit their shields. The impact felt wrong. Hungry. Shields down to 9%, Jake reported. E returned fire. His shots hit, but the alien hull absorbed the damage, rippling and reforming. They're regenerating. Breakthrough. Kira dove toward the station, using its mass for cover. The aliens followed, but their formation broke as they navigated the debris field. Docking port 7 is still pressurized. I can get us in. Do it. She threaded between 2 wrecked frigates, the shuttle's damaged engines screaming. An alien ship emerged from behind a debris cloud, directly in their path. Kira didn't flinch. She fired the forward thrusters, rotating the shuttle 90 degrees while maintaining velocity. They slipped past with meters to spare. The docking port loomed ahead. Kira killed their speed in a maneuver that would have liquefied a normal pilot. Magnetic clamps engaged. They were down. Jake grabbed weapons from the shuttle's locker. 2 pulse rifles, a plasma cutter, 4 fragmentation charges. Not much. It'll have to be enough. Kira took one of the rifles. She checked the charge like she'd done it 1,000 times. I downloaded the station schematics during approach. Operations Center is 12 levels up. Central Tower. They cycled through the airlock. The station's interior was dark, except for emergency lighting. Claw marks scored the walls. Something had torn through here with terrifying strength. Stay close, Jake said. They moved through the corridors in tactical formation. Jake took point, rifle up. Kira covered their 6. The silence pressed down like weight. A scream echoed from somewhere above. Then, weapons fire. Then nothing. 42, Kira said quietly. They found the first body at the intersection. A young technician, maybe 25. The wounds were precise, surgical. Whatever killed him had been intelligent about it. Jake kept moving. Grief later. Survival now. The stairwell door hung open, twisted off its hinges. They started climbing. At level 7, they heard sounds. Clicking. Chittering. Something that might have been communication. Jake held up a fist. Stop. Through a broken window. He saw them. 3 creatures moving through the science wing. Bipedal but wrong. Exoskeletons that shifted colors to match their surroundings. Multiple limbs ending in blades or graspers. Eyes that tracked independently. One turned its head a full 180 degrees, scanning. Jake froze. The creature's gaze passed over their position. Didn't see them in the darkness. They moved on. Jake and Kira continued climbing. At level 11, they encountered a sealed door. Jake knocked using a specific pattern. 3 fast, 2 slow. 3 fast. Human code. Bassos. The door cracked open. A man in a blood-stained uniform, rifle trembling in his hands. Brennan? Lieutenant Greg Murphy? Yeah. Christ, you actually came. Murphy sealed the door behind them. Director's inside. We've got 38 people left. 2 are wounded bad. The operations center was a fortress. Reinforced walls. Multiple exits. But the people inside looked hollow. Shocked. Jake found Director Cross at the command console. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, currently running on pure adrenaline. Commander, your timing is impeccable or insane. Both. Jake assessed the situation. We have a shuttle. Capacity for 50. Can your wounded move? If the alternative is staying here, yes. Then we evacuate. Now, before those ships finish their perimeter sweep. Kira was at the tactical display. Commander, you need to see this. Jake joined her. She'd accessed the station's external sensors. The alien ships weren't just patrolling. They were positioning themselves in a specific pattern around the station. That's an energy matrix, Cross said. They're building up to something. What? Best guess? They're going to detonate the station's fusion core remotely. She pulled up power readings. We have maybe 10 minutes, Jake calculated. 12 levels down, 40 people, some wounded. 10 minutes. We run, he said. Now. Anyone who can't keep pace gets carried. No one left behind. Kira nodded. I'll lead. You take rear guard. They moved out in a column. Jake positioned the armed personnel at intervals. Kira set a brutal pace, but the survivors matched it. Fear was an excellent motivator. They made it to level 8 before the creatures found them. The creature dropped from a ceiling vent directly into the middle of the column. Chaos erupted. People scattered. The alien's limbs lashed out, blades slicing through the air. A security officer fired point blank, but the creature's exoskeleton absorbed the hit and adapted, hardening against the next shot. Jake put 3 rounds into its head. The thing staggered but didn't fall. It turned toward him, eyes focusing with predatory intelligence. "Keep moving!" Jake shouted. Kira was already herding survivors forward. Murphy and 2 other armed personnel formed a perimeter. The creature lunged at Jake. He sidestepped, brought the rifle butt down on what he hoped was a spine. Chitin cracked. The thing shrieked. More clicking echoed through the corridors, answering calls. "They're coming," Murphy said. Multiple contacts. Jake pulled a fragmentation charge from his belt. "When I blow this, you run. Don't stop. Don't look back." He armed the charge and threw it down the corridor where the sounds were loudest. The explosion ripped through the intersection. Metal screamed. The clicking stopped. "Move!" They ran. Jake grabbed a wounded scientist who'd fallen and hauled her forward. Behind them, more creatures poured through the smoke. These ones had already adapted, their exoskeletons showing scorch-resistant plating. "Level 5, Kira called out. 7 more. The station shuddered, groaning metal. The fusion core was destabilizing. They hit the stairwell. Kira led the evacuation down and controlled chaos, keeping people from trampling each other. Jake held the rear with Murphy and a young corporal named Lisa Chen who fired with cold precision. A creature came around the corner. Chen shot it in what passed for a knee. It collapsed. Murphy finished it with a shot to the head cluster. "Learning curve," Murphy said grimly. "Aim for joints and neural centers." They reached level 3, the docking level. Jake could see the shuttle through the observation windows. So close. The station shook violently. Lights flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red. Core breach accelerating, Cross said, checking her handheld. 4 minutes. The shuttle's airlock was open. Kira began loading people. Wounded first. Then civilians. Then armed personnel. She moved with absolute efficiency, no wasted motion. A creature smashed through the window behind them. Glass exploded inward. Jake spun and fired. The alien took the hit and kept coming. Chen flanked it, targeting the joints. It stumbled. Murphy put a round through its head. "Last group," Kira called. "Brennan, let's go!" Jake backed toward the shuttle, covering the approach. 3 more creatures appeared at the far end of the corridor. They'd learned to coordinate. Moving in formation, using cover. "Get the shuttle ready for launch," Jake said. "I'll hold them. Not alone, you won't." Chen positioned herself beside him. "I didn't survive this long to die running." Murphy joined them. "Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't do anything stupid." The creatures advanced. Jake set his last 2 fragmentation charges on the deck plating. "When they reach this point, I detonate. Then we sprint. Agreed?" "Agreed." Kira's voice came through his comm. "Shuttles loaded. Engines warming. You have 90 seconds. The creatures moved closer. Cautious now. They'd learned humans were dangerous. One extended a blade limb, testing the distance. Jake held steady. 50 meters. 40. 30. Now. Jake triggered the charges. The corridor erupted. The blast channeled through the narrow space, catching all 3 creatures in the shockwave. Jake, Chen, and Murphy were already running. Behind them, the damaged deck plating gave way, creating a barrier of twisted metal. They dove through the airlock. Kira sealed it immediately. "Launch!" Jake shouted. The shuttle's engines fired. They tore away from the docking port as more creatures swarmed the corridor. The alien ships detected their movement and broke formation, accelerating on intercept. "Core breach in 60 seconds, Cross reported. Kira pushed the engines beyond safety limits. The hull rattled. People braced against whatever they could find. Through the viewport, Jake saw the alien ships closing fast. "We're not going to make it," Murphy said. "Yes, we are." Kira adjusted course, heading directly toward the largest concentration of alien vessels. "Brennan, remember what we did at the debris field?" Jake understood immediately. "You're going to use the station. When the core breaches, the explosion will create an electromagnetic pulse and a pressure wave. If we're positioned correctly, the blast will fry their organic systems and propel us clear." Jake strapped in. "Everyone hold on. This is going to hurt." Kira threaded the shuttle between two alien ships. They fired, but she was already rolling, using their own vessels as shields. She brought the shuttle around to the station's far side, putting the massive structure between them and most of the alien fleet. "Core breach imminent." Cross counted down. 10, 9, 8. The alien ships realized too late what was happening. They tried to break off, but their formations were too tight. 3, 2, 1. Terminus point exploded. The fusion core's detonation was biblical. A miniature sun erupted in space. The electromagnetic pulse washed over everything. The alien ships convulsed, their organic systems overloading. Several simply died, drifting powerless. The pressure wave hit the shuttle like a hammer. Even with Kira's positioning, the impact threw them forward at velocities that made the inertial dampeners scream. People cried out. Equipment tore loose. Jake felt his ribs crack against the restraints, but they were moving. Away from the blast, away from the aliens, away from death. Kira fought the controls, wrestling the shuttle back under power. The engines sputtered, caught, held. She angled them toward open space. Behind them, the alien ships were scattered, damaged, some destroyed outright. The survivors weren't pursuing. "Status," Jake managed through gritted teeth. "Engines at 40%. Life support stable. Hull integrity critical, but holding." Kira's hands shook on the controls. "We're alive." Cheers erupted from the survivors. Exhausted, relieved, disbelieving. Cross moved to the cockpit. "Where do we go now? We can't jump with this many people in these engines. Nearest safe harbor is the colony world New Pacific," Jake said. 3 days at sublight. "The Velthri will be looking for us," Kira added. "And now we know we're not the only threat out there." Jake looked at the 41 survivors crammed into a shuttle meant for 20. At Kira, who'd gone from princess to warrior in less than a day. At the data crystal, containing evidence of Velthri treachery. At the wreckage of Terminus Point fading behind them. "Ben, we need allies," he said. "Cross, what were you researching here? What made this station a target?" The director's expression darkened. "We discovered something. In the Kepler expanse, an anomaly." "What kind of anomaly?" "The kind that rewrites everything we know about faster than light travel." She pulled up data on a salvaged tablet. "We found a network. Ancient. Built by someone or something millions of years ago. Wormhole gates connecting hundreds of systems." Kira leaned forward. "That's what the Velthri want. Access to the network. And apparently we're not the only ones interested." Cross gestured at the retreating alien ships. "Those things? I'd bet anything they came through one of those gates." Jake processed this. "So we're looking at multiple threats. The Velthri, preparing for war. Unknown aliens, with adaptive technology. And an ancient network that everyone wants to control." "Sounds about right." "Perfect." Jake activated the comm system. "Kira, can you still reach Ambassador Cord? If she received my message, yes. Tell her to start building that alliance. We're going to need everyone we can get." He turned to Cross. "And I need everything you know about that network. Every scan, every analysis, every theory." "You have a plan?" Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Velthri were hunting them. Unknown aliens were awakening. An ancient mystery waited to be solved. "I'm going to find that network," he said. "And I'm going to make sure the right people control it." Kira smiled. "Define right people." "Anyone who doesn't want to use it to commit genocide." "That's a low bar. It's a start." The shuttle limped toward New Pacific, carrying survivors' secrets and the seeds of something larger. War was coming, but so was humanity, and they were done being overlooked. New Pacific appeared on the view screen like salvation wrapped in blue and green. The colony world had 3 million inhabitants, a functional defense grid, and most importantly, a spaceport that didn't ask too many questions. Kira brought the dying shuttle down on fumes and prayer. They touched down hard. Landing gear collapsed. The hull scraped across the tarmac in a shower of sparks, but they were down. Jake unsealed the airlock to find a welcoming committee of colonial marines, rifles raised. "Stand down!" a woman's voice called. She pushed through the marines, tall, dark-skinned, wearing ambassador's insignia. "Commander Brennan, I'm Lena Cord. Princess Kira sent word you were coming." Jake helped survivors off the shuttle. Medics rushed forward for the wounded. "Ambassador, glad you got the message. I've been expecting something like this for months." Cord watched Kira emerge, still in her torn gown, still carrying herself like royalty. "Your Highness, you look different than your official portraits. I feel different." Kira handed her the data crystal. "Everything you need is here. Proof of Velthri War preparations, evidence of treaty violations, enough to fracture their council." Cord pocketed the crystal. "I'll need to verify it, but if it's legitimate, we can rally the opposition factions." She paused. "There's more, isn't there?" Cross stepped forward. "We encountered a new threat. Organic ships. Adaptive technology. They destroyed Terminus Point. We believe they came through the ancient network," Jake added. "The one the Velthri are really after." Cord's expression shifted. "Then we're out of time. My sources say the Velthri War Council is mobilizing their fleet. They're moving on the Kepler Expanse within 72 hours. To secure the network before anyone else can," Kira said, "and before word of their plans gets out." Cord gestured toward the spaceport. "I've been building a coalition. Human colonies, Velthri reformists, even a few independent traders who see where this is heading. We have ships, personnel, but we're scattered." Jake looked at the survivors from Terminus Point, at Shannon Murphy, already organizing security, at Cross, already pulling data for analysis, at Kira, who'd transformed from overlooked princess to revolutionary leader. "Then we bring everyone together," he said, "right here, right now. We show them the evidence. We tell them what's coming. And we give them a choice." "Fight or hide?" Cord asked. "Fight or die." Jake met her gaze. "Because those aliens we encountered? They're not going to stop at one research station. And the Velthri won't stop at the network. This is about survival now." Cord nodded slowly. "I'll send the signals. Rally point here within 48 hours. She turned to Kira. "Your Highness, some of the Velthri reformists won't trust human word alone. They'll need to hear it from you." "They'll hear it," Kira straightened, "and they'll see what their council tried to hide." The next 2 days blurred together. Ships arrived in waves. Human frigates, Velthri merchant vessels, independent cruisers, each one bringing more people who'd seen the signs, who'd questioned the official stories, who'd waited for someone to stand up first. Jake coordinated with military commanders, cross-briefed scientists on the network. Cord navigated the political minefield. And Kira spoke to everyone who'd listen, showing them the evidence, telling them what she'd survived. On the third day, they gathered in New Pacific's main assembly hall, 2,000 people representing dozens of factions. The room crackled with tension. Kira stood at the podium, no longer in royal silk, now wearing simple combat gear that Cord had provided. She looked like what she'd become, a leader forged in fire. "They overlooked me," she began. Her voice carried through the hall. "My own council, my family, the assassins who came for me. They saw a shy princess who couldn't threaten their plans." She activated the holographic display. Evidence filled the air. Ship schematics, battle plans, communication intercepts. "They were wrong," the crowd murmured. Velthri reformists argued with hardliners. Human colonists demanded action. Independent traders calculated odds. "The Velthri War Council is moving to seize control of an ancient network," Kira continued. "Not for exploration, not for knowledge, for conquest, for genocide against anyone who stands in their way." Jake stepped forward. "And they're not our only problem. Something else is out there. Something that adapts and learns and kills." something that came through that network. We lost 43 people at Terminus Point. How many more will we lose if we do nothing? Cross-projected images of the alien ships. These vessels use technology we barely understand. Biological systems that evolve in real time. They destroyed a fortified research station in under an hour. If they have access to the network, they can strike anywhere. So what do? Someone shouted from the crowd. Kira looked at Jake. He nodded. We take the network first, Kira said. We secure it. We study it, and we make sure it's used to protect innocent lives, not destroy them. That's war, a Vel 3 counselor said. Against my own people. No. Kira's voice hardened. It's war against tyrants who've hijacked your government. There are still good people in the Vel 3 Council. Still those who remember what we stood for before fear and greed took over. This is their chance to prove it. Cord stepped up. I've drafted a joint declaration. Human colonies and Vel 3 opposition forces united under one goal. Protect the network. Stop the War Council. Defend against the alien threat. Anyone who signs commits ships and personnel. Silence filled the hall. Then Murphy stood. Terminus Point signing on. What's left of us, anyway. Chen rose beside him. Agreed. A human captain stood. New Pacific Defense Fleet commits 6 frigates. A Vel 3 merchant. The Free Traders Guild offers 12 ships. One by one they stood. Human and Vel 3. Military and civilian. People who'd been enemies days ago. Now bound by common purpose. Within an hour they had a fleet. Within 6 hours they had a plan. Jake found Kira on the observation deck that night, watching the assembled ships prepare for departure. 70 vessels. Not enough to fight the Vel 3 war fleet directly, but enough to reach the network first. You did it, he said. We did it, she turned to him. Thank you, Commander, for not leaving me on that terrace. For believing I was more than they said I was. You were always more. I just helped you show it. She smiled. What happens when we reach the network? Honestly, no idea. Could be the key to everything. Could be our destruction. Sounds like our usual odds. Jake laughed. Yeah, pretty much. The fleet began moving. Coordinated jumps to the Kepler expanse. To the network. To whatever waited on the other side. Kira returned to her ship. Jake to his. Cord to hers. All of them united by something simple. The refusal to be overlooked. The determination to fight. The very human quality of standing up when everything says to stay down. The Vel 3 war fleet would arrive in 24 hours. The alien threat lurked somewhere in the darkness. The ancient network held secrets millennia old. But right now, in this moment, a shy princess who wasn't shy anymore led a fleet of rebels toward the impossible. And humanity has always bet everything on one simple truth. When faced with extinction, you don't hide. You fight back. The jump drives engaged. The fleet vanished into hyperspace. The war for the future had begun. And nobody